Hey everybody, I'm Sam Bilodeau here at Friends for Life 2018, and today I'm with one of our wonderful presenters. Can you introduce yourself and tell me about your connection to type 1?
Yeah, so hi everyone, my name is Dana Lewis. I've been living with type 1 diabetes now for almost 16 years, and celiac disease probably for about 9 years.
And I see you've got this really cool little gadget on your hip here with your pump. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is and how that plays into why you're at Friends for Life?
Yeah, so I love being at Friends for Life because everybody here has pumps and CGMs, it's very normal. But you're also starting to see more things like this, which is a DIY artificial pancreas rig. And this in particular is OpenAPS, the open source artificial pancreas system. And what this does is it bridges the communication between your pump and your CGM. So instead of you having to do the math of what is my blood sugar, what's it going to be, how much more or less insulin do I need, and pressing buttons on your pump, this computer will read all the data, decide what to do, and send the commands back to the pump automatically. So it's a full closed-loop system.
Wow, that's so cool. So if families want to learn more about OpenAPS, where can they hear from you?
A great place to start is openaps.org. That is a reference design that tells you exactly what a DIY closed-loop system can and cannot do. I'd also recommend checking out the Looped group on Facebook, where there's lots of people using various kinds of DIY closed-loop systems and a lot of support for people just getting started.
Great, and you're also presenting about OpenAPS at this year's Friends for Life conference, right?
Yeah, what I'm trying to do is help share some of the lessons we've learned, because I've actually been using a closed loop for almost 4 years now. And so I've learned a lot in terms of helping other people transition between manual, traditional diabetes and automated closed loop technology, whether that's a DIY system or a commercial system. So I'm hoping to share some lessons learned about some successful strategies for how do you transition onto closed looping, and also in between things like CGM sensor changes. What do you do going on and kind of out of that closed loop system to be as successful as possible, and also make it so that you're not without a closed loop for as much as possible.
And so what are some of those strategies or key takeaways that you hope people walk out of the room with if they come to your session?
A lot of it has to do with the CGM sensor and planning ahead, because you know the sensor can only last so long, and you can't close the loop without a CGM sensor. So being thoughtful about when your sensor ends, restarting it maybe before you get to a big meal and not letting the sensor restart happen while you need the closed loop's help with that big meal. So making sure that doesn't happen after a big meal or overnight means it's during a less stressful situation when you really need that closed loop to help out.
Great. Now, you've been coming to Friends for Life conferences for a number of years. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience here and what some of your favorite moments have been?
So I've been coming to Friends for Life, I think maybe for almost 15 years. I actually came when I was a national youth advocate for the American Diabetes Association when I was 15 or 16. And one of my favorite things about that was not only getting to connect with other people with diabetes, because where I grew up, I didn't know anybody else with type 1. So CWD, Friends for Life, really was the place where I connected with other people. But something also significant happened one of those years where I noticed one of the gluten-free buffets, and they weren't labeled as gluten-free. So I kind of walked up and somebody said, no, you can't eat that. You don't have the right wristband. And I said, what do you mean? They said, oh, this is for people with celiac disease who have to eat gluten-free for medical reasons. I was like, I don't know anything about that. And I learned that people with type 1, there's a high correlation and prevalence of celiac. Fast forward to 4 years later, I started to get symptoms, and because of what I learned at Friends for Life, I was able to get diagnosed really quickly. So now I'm wearing both wristbands, and that's one of my favorite things about coming back to Friends for Life, is not only all the people and the support of people with diabetes and celiac, but also having a safe conference environment where I can eat just like everybody else.
Dana, can you tell me what it's like to live life with an OpenAPS system?
So having a closed loop is actually life-changing, not just because of the difference in your diabetes numbers, but the quality of life changes are very, very significant. For those of us living with diabetes, it's very common to be afraid and anxious to go sleep at night because we're afraid of what's going to happen. If you're like me, you're afraid you're not going to wake up to the alarm. And that's actually what caused me to develop my first system and then later OpenAPS, was that fear of not waking up because I was such a good sleeper. And so having this system is just an indescribable peace of mind for those of us with diabetes, of knowing that there is a system every 5 minutes responding to, it doesn't matter why you're going high or low. You missed a bolus, you missed a meal, you didn't eat, you're sick, you're stressed, you're excited, you're in love, it doesn't matter why. But if your blood sugars are changing, it's going to respond for you. And it's going to do it in small increments every 5 minutes. And so that peace of mind is just indescribably amazing for those of us living with diabetes, to have that burden lifted.
Absolutely. And you mentioned it's a DIY system. It sounds a little scary maybe to get started. What's that like for somebody who's totally new to this kind of technology?
Just like switching from an iPhone to an Android or vice versa, or changing computer types, there's a learning curve between manual and automated diabetes care, or between MDI and pump. There's a learning curve, but anybody can learn it. You don't have to be technical. The big important thing the most important skill is to know your diabetes and to be willing to try, to have decided that I want to automate my diabetes care. The tech doesn't matter because everybody's going to be learning. This is going to be a transition for everybody. So I would say for anybody who's thinking about it and is afraid or feels like they're not technical enough, don't let that stop you. There's an amazing support community online, tons of people who will help you, whether it's DIY or commercial. There's help out there, there's support. If you decide this is right for you, there's people who can help you make it happen.
Great. So looking forward to this year's Friends for Life conference, what are some sessions you have your eyes on? What are some things you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm always interested, as somebody who helped develop one of the closed loop systems, is hearing about the other closed loop systems in development. Very excited to see what they're developing, what's coming next, and also how we can help them make their systems better. But personally, I'm also excited because this is my husband's first time at Friend for Life.
All right,
yeah.
First timers.
He's a first timer, so he's been to one of the Anaheim Friends for Life conferences, but this is his first time in Orlando, so I'm excited for him to see the same support and the same awesome environment of people with diabetes that I've seen in the past.
That's one of my favorite things to see as we go through the years is the new network of orange bracelets that come in as we've all grown up, and now we're bringing our partners and our friends and our spouses and our families. So what do you think your husband is looking forward to most?
I think he's just looking forward to meeting the people who supported me for so many years. You know, he met me 5 years ago, and he has not known me without diabetes and without the support network, and he knows how much it means to me to have these people who support me through everything. And so it's just really special for me to get to introduce him to my other family of people with diabetes. And I was telling him, you know, if you had asked me 15 years ago when I first was exposed to children with diabetes and Friends for Life, if I'd be here 15 years later with, you know, a husband who supports me so much the way my friends do, and a DIY closed loop system that I've been using for years, I would have never believed you. So it's very, very cool to have the people I care about, as well as, you know, people who support technology development like this at Friends for Life.
Absolutely, that's very special. Well, Dana Lewis, thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thanks for having me.